Welcome back, everyone, to Lesser Known Operators. I'm your host, Nicholas Allen, and my guest today is Harrison Lewis, Dr. Harrison Lewis. He's a doctor of physical therapy and the founder of GRND Fitness, GRND, even wearing their t-shirt here today. Before that, he was in the United States military, specifically the Army, a member of the 3rd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, and the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, Night Stalkers. Today, he is helping millennials train pain-free. You can check him out. I will have links to his socials in the show description. As always, today's episode is brought to you by the Green Beret-owned business Precision Wellness Group and Dr. Taylor Bosley. Precision Wellness Group helps you restore balance, unlock vitality, and fuel your momentum through bioidentical hormone therapy and evidence-based personalized telemedicine. Dr. Taylor Bosley is a board-certified physician, a U.S. Army veteran, and a former Green Beret. He knows where you've been, where you want to go, and how to get you there. And he's an actual doctor who can prescribe you actual medicine. That's a bonus. So if TRT, HRT, hormones, testosterone, peptides are something you've been thinking about for a while now, or just looking into, look no further than Precision Wellness Group and Dr. Taylor Bosley in Southern Pines, North Carolina, in-person telemedicine or walk-in. Use code LKO20 on your initial consultation paperwork to save 20% on said consultation. Today's episode is also brought to you by Alpha Elite Performance. Get your supplements for the gym at alphaeliteperformance.com. Use code LKO15 at checkout to save 15% on your order. I recommend the Pipe Hitter pre-workout and the creatine. I do appreciate you guys. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, pass these episodes along. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. I love it when I get to introduce a doctor, Dr. Harrison Lewis. Welcome to Lesser Known Operators, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
No, absolutely. Obviously a busy guy. Does most of your are most of your meetings now over telecommunication that you're using?
It's about 50-50.
Okay.
I actually just before this call was onboarding a former Ranger into my rehab program as well. He's out in Stanford and had a patellar tendon rupture and is like, dude, the VA's tough. So he reached out. But most of it's in person. Actually, I'm here in Dallas, Texas at a sports rehab clinic. So kind of 50-50 right now.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of manipulation that's hard to do over the phone or over a telecommunication or telemedicine, I suppose. But
It's tough. Yeah, it's definitely tough. And I always try to I gauge the patient, like Nick, if you called me and I'd be like online because you have the mindset, the tools, the resources to and like the just the ability to go out and do it. But if you were a patient that was deconditioned, had no exposure to compound lifts, a true strength and conditioning history, no, I need my hands on you. I need to
yeah,
watch you do these movements.
you got to get somebody into the habit of taking care of themselves as well. And that's why I tell people, I get the most frustrated with people in the gym. I go, you're already in the easy or the hardest part of the habit is coming here every day. Why are you just screwing around when you're here? Like you can get so much more out of it by just
Yeah.
applying yourself and just while you're here. But I get it. Some people just, it's their activity and things like that. But no, that's great. And it's got to be really nice also because I know for me, I would rather uh, buy from a Green Beret business that's across the country or things like my doctor, Taylor Bosley, who owns Precision Wellness Group, Green Beret in Southern Pines, North Carolina. I found out he wants to sponsor. He wanted to sponsor the show, and I'm like, absolutely. Like, I'm going to go to that guy just because of the background. I don't have to explain myself to
Right.
him. He knows. He can just look and go, oh yeah, we've got X and Z. We've probably got Q wrong here, and I don't have to explain. It's just like nice. So that's got to be also nice with that little foot in the door because you don't want to make your entire personality the Ranger or the Night Stalkers, right? But it is a great introduction piece of going, hey, we don't have to explain half of our life to each other. So that must be nice as well.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I still treat, several rangers, several night stalkers come to me all the time. And it's a level of comfort that in this phase of my life as a veteran, I've been out for several years now. It keeps me connected to that mission and to that community, which I really love.
And you don't know how much you're gonna miss it until it goes away, do you?
It's it's man, like that dark feeling, that disconnect you have, it doesn't hit immediately when you get out. Because when you first get out, you're just like, oh, I'm a civilian now. All the little bullcrap feelings I had when I was in dealing with kind of just waiting around and just that transition, you feel free. And then that freedom, you're like, oh, I actually miss the BS. I miss the shit. I miss the boys. And it kind of ebbs and flows, I think, for a couple years, and for some, a lot longer.
Yeah, 5 years, I think, for me, and still to daily, it's like, "God, man," I gotta motivate myself to do stuff. I gotta come up with the work and then do the work and then critique it and say, "Oh, are we doing our best job here?" And, make all these other things that come in. Um, I don't know if people believe me, but man, when I say the military is very easy, and then I'd say special operations is even easier because it's just the really work your ass off. And working your ass off is not that difficult when that's what you like to do. Like work very hard is much easier than being lazy and not liking what you're doing. Time goes by faster. You enjoy what you're doing. You're with the people you want to be with that are also motivated. I don't know how people take that when I say that, but I go, it was a very easy life compared to the unknown of kind of on this side. But I
Right.
don't know if you've experienced that as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it becomes autonomous after a while. You have your indoctrination phase. You just get into the organization, the unit, wherever you're at, and there's a shock and awe effect, and then you settle in and you realize that, oh, everyone here is highly efficient. Everyone here values, the work that needs to be done. And it's a passionate buy-in that you don't really have to question day to day, on this side. And we'll get into it about, the brand grind, how it was founded and, some of the things I struggle with, but it was like that grabbing for purpose and intention after I left that it's like, I can do anything, but what is my purpose? What is my calling in this chapter of my life when, this thing that I was a part of for, all of my 20s truly defined me, in a lot of ways, from core values, worldview, work ethic, mindset, and then that's gone. And it's not directly transferable to some other career path. It's like, what do you do? And you got to kind of scramble for a while to kind of sort it out.
Once the guys realize that they've lost their team and they need to build a new one, they usually go do that. Like, okay, yeah, I had to go and I got to see my buddies and we were forced to hang out. But man, those were good, fun times. I was with the people that I liked that motivated me. And that goes away. And then you go, well, now, once you realize you can build your own team with your own friends and your own people, and you get to pick, you're not just Rangers. I can get SEALs. I can get Green Berets. I can get Air Force dudes. I can get CCT. I can get everybody, right? And then you get civilians too that want to fit in, that wanted to be in the life that were fuck just as good, right? And you're
Right.
like, you could have done this shit as well, and you get to work with them as well. So a lot of the guys I talk to on here find their purpose back when they start building their new team, and they get to select people that they want to work with again and that want to do the same thing. And I assume with your brand and what you're doing, you're doing that same thing and getting to help the guys that fuck themselves up on the inside and come on the outside and say, "Hey, the brotherhood is still here. It's just one generation of ahead of where you think it is."
Yeah, that like when you lose that team, there's just that loss. I mean, it's an emotional thing, I lost friends while I was in service, and on this side of it, it's like we're saying, I can carry those values forward with me, and now I can kind of pick and choose the values that, really resonate and align with my worldview, and then build a community and a team around that mission and that vision. And that's kind of how grind was started. Intentionally removing the I and grind. I was always around something that was bigger than myself. You know, um, as an athlete in college, I was on a team the mission was the team. The mission was success as an athlete in this space. Being a ranger, it was literally about the ranger to your left and right, and then leaving the military, going through that mental health journey of like, who am I without a tan beret? Who am I without a helmet on my head? Who am I without a tab? Without this community, that's kind of backing me. And then you have to kind of reconstruct yourself. And that's really hard. That's an emotional, and you were just talking about it. You know how emotionally challenging that is. But then when you kind of realize that I can I can kind of fail forward each step. I can make mistakes along the way and kind of piece out what I want this to look like. But I think, as your point of, not knowing what you're doing day to day, that's kind of okay too. You kind of just move forward and you find the right people that resonate. And I found a lot of joy in sharing the lessons I've learned as a ranger, as a night stalker. And you said finding civilians that align with that as well, but maybe having gone, they didn't go that route in life. Maybe they're in private sector, maybe they're, a doctor or whatever. I mean, I've met construction workers at the gym that are like hard nosed, that are hardworking, that, love their community, love their country, and believe their mission in life is greater than themselves. And that might be their family. That might be their church. So it's been cool. I'm still sorting it out. I'm still figuring it out day to day as well. But it's been fulfilling so far.
Fuck yeah. You go to the gym at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m., you'll find people that would have been successful in special operations there because
100%.
you're getting it in before work or you're getting it in after work. Those are different. That's a difficult thing. And I think not the same type of people too. I would think they would be in two different groups because the people that go after work are animals. You
Yeah.
just go to work and then you go, I'm still going to the gym. It's one thing because I think the people that go before go, if I don't do it in the morning, I ain't going to do it in the afternoon. I just don't, they know themselves. I don't have the commitment. So it's all done and it gets me through my day. I think there's more of a disdain for their lack of commitment to things, even though they're very committed to it. Where the people, they go to work and they're like, fuck that. I'm going to go to the gym still. There's some hard people in the afternoon. They're taking pre-workout at 6 p.m. and just killing it. Like, oh my God. There's some people there that they're more motivated than I am for sure. Cause I've never been an afternoon after work lifter or worker out at anything like
No am
that.
I.
But yeah, there's plenty of civilians out there that could do these things. There's plenty of people in the military that can do these things. They just don't believe in themselves. And they don't
Exactly.
believe in what they can do because they see other people that they hold to a higher standard. And they think, oh, that guy didn't make it, so I can't make it. That is not fucking true at all.
At all.
Like people message me. They're like, do I have to be as strong as you to pass selection? Like, no, I was half this size, man. I wouldn't say half, but I was not strong. I was barely fit. You know, I tell some guy was fighting with me in the comments last night. He's like, you need to be running or doing a 2.5 hour 12 miler with 45 pounds dry. And I'm like, that's not true. He's like, yes, it is. I saw the numbers and all this. Like, still not true, man. 3 hours. I came in at 3 hours in selection the first time. I came in at 3 hours the second time. I got trained my entire career for 3 hours. I never came in under 255. Not one time. I never was even close to getting dropped. Like, all you have to do is pass the gates. Like, you don't have to show off. You don't have to do anything. And I think that was one big difference from what I'm learning with SF and then the Rangers, because you guys are in straight fucking kill each other competition all the time. Who run faster and all this. And I got the impression that we're like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna meet the standard.
Right.
Because I know there's something more horrible coming down the road. And that probably is gonna induce me to break the knob off instead of I need to fucking kill myself on every fucking thing. But that's just the different attitudes of the different groups.
Yeah.
And I
Everybody has
think
their own like cultural, like it's just like a personality. And you see it with the SEALs and they're like bravado, like, they're very just like hoorah in a lot of ways. They got the Hollywood kind of culture with them. Rangers are just very there's a term called strong ranger or smart ranger. Most of us are strong rangers. I was a strong ranger. I'm a doctor now. I'm definitely still a strong ranger. Where everything is smash, smash, smash. No matter what it is, I gotta win. I gotta come first. Like I'm always competing, and that's a great foundational mindset. Like I'd rather have somebody that comes in that way, and then you have to kind of tim them down a little bit, kind of like, okay, let's be more big picture focused. Because now in my life, I can't go out and run 35 miles a week, live 6 days a week, and I'm training for all these different races, and I'm being a hypocrite to my patients who need to be more progressed. They need a little bit more attention. They need to like take their time and slowly scale up their training. And I'm just killing myself every day because I've been training for 20 years. It's a different approach, I think, and it all has its place.
I was listening to Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman, or I think it was Ronnie, but they're just talking in the gym. It's an older video, and Jay was like, "How many times a week do you tell people to go to the gym?" He's like, "3." I tell them to go three days a week to the gym, and then he's like, "How many days a week are we in the gym?" 7. You know, it's like it's just but you can learn to not break yourself off. Uh,
Right.
Training 7 days a week. I do it at 6 days a week, and my workouts are much lighter than people think they are. They're very difficult while I'm under load or under stress, but I'm resting, I'm taking it easy. I'm not, if I want a 45-minute workout, I go with Dorian Yates, Dorian Yates says, and things like that. And like, okay, I get after it, get in, get out. But it's, I think you have to know when to go to 11, when to break the knob off. And otherwise, just maintain or meet the standard. And then, okay, I explained it to a kid at the gym yesterday. I said, some days you're going to pick up the barbell and it's going to feel really heavy. Take it easy on that day. Take it easy on that day. And some days you're going to pick it up and you go, today's the day. Get it on that day.
Yep.
You
Ramp
can
it
make
up.
the same weight do the same exercises, you make the same weight and just change the reps or change the intensity and get the same workout.
Oh yeah.
And that is very difficult to instill on people that think I have to be in the gym 7 days a week. I need to get healthy and do all this stuff. That you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to fail. You're going to fall off. You don't have no leeway on 6 days, 7 days a week. When how much leeway you've got on 2 days a week. You got 5 other days you can fuck up and like fill in on there and sit like
Right.
that. So let's calm down.
It's
Everybody
not
calm down.
sustainable.
No,
It's, I mean, and, you've done it for years. I've done it for years. And, I'm 32 now, and in
and a
practice,
doctor? You're 32 and a doctor?
yeah,
What the fuck am I doing with my life?
I, I I think it kind of just happened, and I'm here, and through that time though, that's what I've learned. Like you have to be able to listen to your body. You have to adjust and strive. There's days where I'm going, and I know this is going to be a 10 out of 10 day, and I'm lifting heavy, and I can walk out looking like I didn't break a sweat. But there's days where I'm training at a 5-6 RPE, and the intensity's dialed down, but I'm still getting that stimulus that I need day to day. um, it's challenging though trying to preach that to people because we all have to at a certain point, same with having conditions met before you start something. Everybody has to kind of go through that journey themselves. Like if you don't know your body well enough, then you're just going to continue to make mistakes along the way. I think there's something about hitting rock bottom in training, burning out, getting injured, that like I always try to prevent injury with my patients. I just had a patient go out and run the Boulder marathon this past weekend, and he popped up 3 weeks pre-race. I've known him for a while, and he's like, "Dude, I've got bad shin splints." Like, dude, where have you been? Like, we could have strengthened up your pre-tibs and your lower quarter in the last couple months and gotten you ready. And he's like, "Should I race?" I was like, well, hell yeah, you're racing. You just trained up, for 4 or 5 months. Go race, but let this be a lesson in how you could be more preventive in the future. Like learn the lesson, go through the journey yourself, and come out on the other side better, whether you're injured or not. There's always something to
That
learn.
that is 100% the correct advice. Everybody knows that's the correct thing, and I think we just ignore it also because I don't need any help. I got this on my own. That's my thing right now is I got it. I can figure it out. And people say, "Oh, well, he does it." No, 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 no. I got a lot of experience in doing what works for me. It ain't going to work for you. Get a coach. Get somebody that can give you an outside perspective and tell you what you're doing wrong and teach you the right way. Otherwise, you're going to learn the wrong way, and then you're going to hurt later on down the road. Or you're going to be like, "Man, I wish I would have done this and do that." No, get somebody to teach you the right way first, and then that'll help you out much better down the road.
Right.
Instead of, you walk around, I tell people, you ever walk around the gym and you see guys going like this? They're going like this. It's because nobody fucking taught them how to bench when they were a kid. They're going like this with their elbows like to their sides and they're benching straight up from their chest and stuff. And then, they got the quarter squats. Like that's useless. Like there's no, like that is just get somebody to teach you or take your phone out of your pocket and watch correct form of these
Right.
really good trainers and things like that. But then there's fake stuff out there in those too. So
There's a lot of weird stuff going out. The internet is, human based, so it's very, infallible. I like that you mentioned getting a coach because, I was dealing with an Achilles injury this year. I was getting ready for a high rocks race down in Houston, just moved down to Dallas, Texas, and I moved from JBLM down to Texas, and it's like, oh, it feels great. It's not even wintertime. Let's start running, and ramped up really quick, messed up my Achilles, pulled out of the race, and I had to go to PT. And I'm a physical therapist. I can do my own rehab. I have all the resources. I have all the education to do my own rehab, but I still went out and got a physical therapist. I still talk to my strength coach and my doc because although I have the experience and the knowledge, having somebody else assist you along the way, like you need a financial advisor, like you need a nutritionist, like you need a pastor, you need someone that's going to guide you and give you a unbiased, appraisal of where you're at along your journey. Because if not, you're just gonna miss steps. I need a coach to program for me because if I do my own programming every day, I'm gonna do exactly what I want to do every day. Like if it's Monday, I'm going to do all the things that I really enjoy doing on leg day, which is usually just squats and Bulgarians and lunges. Like I love those so much that I can do
yeah,
it all day.
that's better than 99% of programming out there. If you do those three, only those three all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I love running, so I'm never going to do an easy run. It's always going to be trying to chase an 8-minute pace as a baseline because that's what Brett Johnson and all the other, great rangers in my life, trained me to do. And that's going to be it. But there needs to be a slow run. You need to, taper. You need to be smart. You need to be wise. And that's not easy when you're operating alone.
No, no, it is not. I'm training for a mile. I'm going to run a 5-minute mile at my height and weight. And, that's the only running I train for, and it is painful.
Yeah.
It is painful all the time. Um, but yeah, I feel you there. I
All
don't
in
know.
all day.
It is. It is. Well, I mean, in my mind, the first quarter mile, you're like, okay, and the last quarter mile is going to be a sprint. Like, okay, turn it on. I'm training for this middle 800 meters of pain. It's like solid pain, and we're getting there. We're getting there, and I'm excited to do it. But it's going to be so painful, and I'm proceeding it. I'll tell you after we're done recording what I'm actually going to do. But I'm excited for it. So much different though than we trained in the military. Like for selection for us, it's like this endurance event. And for you guys, you got the 5 mile in there. You got the Ranger physical assessment test, RPAT, and a lot of cardio, and then when you're in regiment too, you guys can get RFS for falling out of a run.
Yeah.
So it's this constant focus on maintaining the standard and staying up to standards. And have you been able to is that what feeds now into your training plan for yourself now that you're out?
It's not the primary forcing factor, but it is a mechanism that's just in the back of my head. I know how to tap into it while I'm training, but I try to be more mindful of where I'm at. I've been out now for years, and I had a pretty catastrophic hip injury that for a while hindered me from training at full capacity. But I still know how to dial it up, and I try to keep that as that catalyst to really push. And like right now, I'm training for high rocks. I really tapped into that ranger background, that mindset to push through these workouts. Um, but I've had to adopt that mindset to be more longevity based than the daily performance necessity.
I have this, I don't know if it's not a phobia, but a thing I've been developing. So I got medically retired early. I am still at an age where I would be on a team, and I will be at that age for several years now. And in my bio or whatever, my platform, I still say, Green Beret. I am a fit Green Beret. I also tell people I can go back to a team. Physically, I can go back to a team and do it. So there's and you say in the back of your mind, I go, if you're going to say these things and introduce yourself as a Green Beret, you better be able to perform at least physically. I'm not tactical anymore. That
Yeah.
ship sailed. I'm not jumping out of planes anymore. But man, if a unit team invites me out or a unit wants to do PT with me, I better be able to show up and show off when I get there. And that's one thing in my mind. Like if you're going to use these things as like the secret handshake and the introduction of things, God, at least be physically still there if you're going to do it. If your time has passed, everything declines as time goes on, but keep it up as long as you can. If you're going to use regiment to introduce yourself, at least put on a good face for the camera when you do get there. I don't know if you think about it the same way.
I think about it the exact same way. And my battalion commander, one of my battalion commanders when I was at 375, Mike Klepper, he had a statement that he kind of mantraed for the junior officers, and it was, stay in season. Actually, I made a post about it recently. This idea of staying in season, against all the circumstances, the peaks and valleys you're in during a certain chapter in your life, the commitment or the discipline to stay in season is something that I've just tried to carry forward. And it's challenging. You get older, you start aging, things break down. But I think you can carry that kind of valuation for yourself that, regardless of what happens, I'm going to try to stay in the best possible shape as I can. For me as a PT as well, it's like, why would I go see a cardiologist that smokes cigarettes? I'm a physical therapist. The last thing I would want is to have a new evaluation, a new patient come in, and he looks at me and does not see an example or does not see a version that he could see himself, he or she could see themselves stepping into. It's the same thing as when we were in. You got to walk the walk, and that first impression matters. And you owe it to yourself to continue to stay in season, regardless of what's going on. Because that's to me, and from a psychology standpoint, I preach this to my patients. It's you cannot control 99% of the things that happen to you, but you can control your body, to an extent. You can control the work you put in, you can control what goes into your mouth, you can control the words and the things you tell yourself. If you can control that, I think all the other things go into conditions not being met. You're more adaptive and resilient to the things that happen to you if you can control everything here. And people lose track of that. They go out and they say, okay, this happened to me, or I got this pathology or condition. I broke my arm or I tore my ACL. I'm like, okay, well, keep fucking moving. Stay in season, regardless of what happens. Keep moving, keep figuring it out, keep trying and failing. And, after a while, you'll just become more resilient. That's better than not doing shit.
Easy to say, easy to say.
Yeah, for sure.
Because people don't listen. People don't listen and they don't read. They don't read first. That's the first thing. You put a sign up that says critical information. You can put it at eye level. They're going to run into it. They will duck right underneath it and keep on walking. Right.
Right.
Uh, Second is they don't listen. They listen slightly more than they read. But third, oh, they'll watch you. We know that from social media. They'll watch you all the time. And if you hold that example for the people that do watch you, they are more likely to take it upon themselves because nobody does anything unless they have to or want to. And the best is to want to. Have to is more like, you got in trouble, so you got to go clean your room, right? So want to, oh, you see somebody doing something that you want. I love comparison. I think a lot of people hate it. I love comparison. That's how I got to where I am today, is comparing myself to other people. I think envy is the problem that people have when they compare. They get envious of what other people have and they don't want to put in the work. Whole nother discussion. But when people see you on social media and they go, he is doing exactly what he's telling people to do, that looks and sounds a whole lot better than words, because it's easy to say all these things, but it's really tough to do it. Like,
Oh yeah.
I want to run a 5-minute mile, but to go show people that I can do it, yeah, that's difficult. That's so much work. That is so much work. And there's so much that doesn't need to be said after you do it. It's like the workouts and the hours on the treadmill and the pushing and the fucking almost dying and collapsing and stuff, all that stuff that nobody sees, but the application. So yeah, stay in season. I like that. And because that will show, because that's all we do from we're little kids, right? Is we watch the grown-ups, what they're doing, and the people we look up to, because they're the only people around. We watch what they're doing and we take in all this knowledge of how they're doing things, and we learn based on that. And then we go forward and do the best we can. And hopefully we're getting good information. And that's the problem. Biggest problem with the internet is you don't know what's fake. I can look at it now and go, that's fake. That's not real. That's real. Holy shit. That's fake. But the general population, they get sucked into this bad side of comparison. They're comparing themselves to something that's not real, and they're holding themselves to that standard. And that's where we start getting to the negative of people feeling bad at themselves and going down. And it's tough to combat, especially with how technology is.
I think even deeper into the idea of like observation, I compare myself as well. I own an activewear brand, so I am constantly researching and observing all the other brands in the fitness and apparel space and learning from them and best practices and trends and how they design and all these different things. But then you have to observe, kind of compare in a way, and then you have to use a little bit of discernment. Okay, and that's where your own creativity is created when you take something that you've seen for somebody else do, whether let's say you follow David Goggins and you want to be, that you want to
Hard. You want
embody.
to get hard.
Yeah, you want to get hard, you want to stay hard, you want to carry the boats. And then you go out and try to run 100 miler and, destroy yourself. And I think you can formulate, I think maybe formulate's the best word to use. You formulate your own opinion based off what you've observed. So a lot of times on the internet, people are watching all these things and I have to be exactly that. Well, you can use that, observe that, and formulate a version or pick out the things from that can help you create your own sort of avatar or your own mantra, how you pursue or approach life. From the brand perspective, I see a lot of great brands out there, but a lot of those brands are in the UK, Gymshark, or out in Australia, LSKD, and they're not black, they're not American, they don't have dreadlocks, they weren't a ranger or a night stalker. So it's like, okay, I can learn all these different things, but who am I? How does this fit into my picture in life and my worldview? And then I can rewrite my own definition of what right looks like for myself. A lot of times people chase this ego that I need to be an Elon Musk or I need to be this type of person without realizing that the uniqueness in your story is you. Learn what you can, but continue to be yourself.
One thing I can't get out of my head lately is something Mr. Beast said, right? The purple cow theory. You know,
Yeah.
people will stop and look at a purple cow. And I can't, that's what this whole thing tomorrow is from that little line that he said of you have to make content that is a purple cow, basically, that people will stop scrolling. So I'm going to hit the road and go create content that I can't find on the internet because nobody's ever seen it. I'm going to go do it. And, you can take lessons learned from everybody else for this show. I took Sean Ryan's chair, right? I was like, man, he looks like he's comfortable. So I went and got this chair. This chair's fucking comfortable. And he's got no wires. All the best ones have no wires because I wave my hands. So I got my mic up here and I got my headphone here. And I got backups in case they go dead. And and I got a big TV screen here so I can see you up there. I got my lights and I got my comfy basement. So I'm nice and comfortable, and I can sit and have a normal conversation. So I took the best things out of other people's shows and then I put me in there. And well, then now I just got to do me. And then I'm selling me comfortable. That's a lot better than me fucking sitting on edge, doing like at a table across from somebody, like trying to figure shit out and relax and things like that. So that's it. You take the best parts of what you like, and then the hardest one of all, the easiest one to say and the hardest one of all. Don't give a fuck what anybody else is doing. Fuck them. They're not your competition. You're your competition. You are the only person you're in competition with. Unless you are a used car salesman across the street from a used car salesman, you are not in competition. It is you and the customer or the consumer that you have to have a direct relationship with. Because unless they can walk across the street and go buy from that person over there, that ain't it. You're the content. You are the one creating it. You're the one selling your product and yourself and your story and all these other things, your history and what you mean and your brand and all these things. You know, in the Civil War, Ulysses Grant said, "I don't give a damn what the enemy does out of my sight." So I don't care either. I'm the biggest threat to my success, not
Yeah.
anybody else, because I don't believe in myself like 50 times a day. It's up and down and up and down and up and down all day long. Like, oh, I can take over the world. Oh, I'm the biggest piece of shit in the world. And then back up and go, get yourself in here, man. Okay, go hit the gym, recharge. I feel great. Come back, crank out some work and things like that. And that's got to be the same with what you
Yeah.
got going on, right? With
No,
grind. I mean, it's got to feel good to have your own thing, but how do you limit yourself from getting sucked into what everybody else is doing?
so I think there's like, when you try to create your own thing, there's a pull to try to be, like you said, like try to be like everyone else. Um, and I think I really struggled with that initially because I was almost embarrassed of the version of myself that I was living in because I was trying to be like everyone else. I felt like I had to be this, unnatural person on the internet. I had to already know everything about apparel and design to really have a strong mission and strong values and a strong message that can build a community around it. Um, I think that it took a while to really step out of the Captain Lewis persona that I lived for so long. Because I think we all kind of carry this inherent stoic approach as, service members, as veterans. And that can limit people's ability to relate to you in a lot of ways because you can tell the same story, but when you inject a little bit more of who you naturally are, we all become someone else when we join the military. And we all come out somebody completely different based on our experiences. But that person is still in there. And until I really did that deep reflection on who I was without a tambourine, like we were saying, without having that definition attached to it, all my content, it just wasn't, it didn't feel good. I didn't enjoy it because it wasn't who I naturally was. And then once I really like leaned into, okay, well, I'm just going to talk. I'm just going to say the things that I'm passionate about. The grind is passionate for me because it's something that I've been doing my entire life. And once I really just became okay with that, again, I stopped competing with other people. I stopped comparing this content, whether I got 1,000 views or 50,000, whatever it was. It was like, hey, that was my, authentic, natural self. And I can live with that and learn from it and continue to grow.
Yeah. Making content, as Denny at Security Halt told me, make content that makes you happy. Make content
Yes.
that feels good for you. Then you don't have to worry about putting anything out for anybody else. And that way, that's always a good barometer. Do I like this piece of art that I've made and you're putting it out in the world? Well, I'm happy with it. And if they don't like it, then fuck them, right? At least, at least at least I feel good about the thing that I'm putting out.
That's hard too, when we see a Mr. Beast, when we see a lot of people compare me to Nick Bear from BPN. because, he went to Ranger school. I was actually a Ranger. I don't get into the semantics, but like when you look at his brand and his kind of mindset, a lot of people are like, dude, like you're like the Black Nick Bear. I'm like, wait a second. He's been on this journey for 10 years. You didn't see Nick Bear in the first year, 2 years. You didn't see his evolution and his growth and the things he had to experience and learn from along the way. Stop looking at somebody's destination as your launching pad. Like you have to understand that you have to go through, I don't care where you're at. I've sat down and talked to the founder of Noble, and he says, dude, this is great. And I'm like, do you have any advice? Do you have anything that he's like 10 years? He's like 10 years. And I was like, when were you proud of your military career? I was like, well, it really wasn't until I was almost done that I was like, okay, I feel like I did something. Um, he said 10 years. It's going to take 10 years for you to like look back and be like, okay, I learned a lot. I failed a lot. I've progressed a lot. I still have a long way to go, but I kind of know what I'm doing now. I kind of have some like equity in my own self-confidence bank to make decisions and feel really confident about the decision I made. And I think at times, because of social media, we're seeing personal brands, we're seeing mentors or people we emulate at a peak in their life, where we're seeing them well within or along their journey that we think that we start there. You mentioned having all this, the chair and all the equipment for your podcast. You know, at the beginning, maybe it was just your phone. Maybe it was that cheap Sony ZV-1 that, only could do horizontal or vertical. Maybe you knew nothing about settings.
No, there's nothing special down here. If you saw the whole thing, you'd be like, I can't believe you're making function off of this. We are on a budget down here, man. I pulled everything from around my house. Like I tell people, you do not need anything fancy to do what I'm doing. You just need to go do it. Like, um, and the 10 years, yeah, that's one thing too. Like I hear that and I go, I can do it in 5. I can do it in 2. I can, or I can just be happy where I'm at. Like I'm so happy. That crazy. We started 9 months ago, 9 full months today. We've been at it. So 9 January through September, right? And it's crazy. Like people know who I am. That's awesome. But the other thing, the comparison, I love the people that are huge and successful. I go, oh, that's possible. I can do better than that. I can do better than that. I can do better than that. I just got to work at it. And as I said, I'm my only competition. They're not my competition. They're normal people, just like I used to be. You know, I used to be a normal person. I grew up in a normal place in the country. Went to high school. Nothing crazy happened, and then I forced myself to do the things that I wanted to do. I was just a normal guy, athlete in school, but nothing extraordinary. I didn't apply myself until I got into the military, and then let's go. That was it. Time to turn it on. But people think they're not special. They're wrong. They might not be special now, but you can change that. It is not that difficult to change that. You just have to go do it. Very easy to say, go do it. But that's all it is going to do it. You want to be better at running? Go run. You want to be better at lifting? Lift more. You want to be better at speaking? Go speak. Go speak to your friend. Get in front of your phone. Go walk in the woods. There's nobody around. There might be some squirrels. Talk in front of your phone. I do a 1 minute wrap up every day on my story to get better at talking to my phone every night. And man, I've been doing that for like 5 months now. I'm so much better at talking to my phone. 1 minute a day, practice talking to my phone every day for 150 days. That's what was that, 2.5 hours, of talking to my phone at night? Easy. That's so easy.
I um I think there's something to say about just doing it. I want to. That's a Nike line, but just do it. But
You said doing. Theirs is just do it, so
yeah,
you won't get
yeah, just
sued.
just do it. Yeah,
Uh,
they won't sue us. They won't tear us down. I don't know actually, and I don't know. Maybe this is a mental health deep dive, but that that translation from like what is the graduation in stages from believing that you could do this or that, oh, I'm just a regular guy, because that's at its core, that's everyone's story, and one thing that, grind, like as a brand, we really care about is your story. Like your story is so unique that it's powerful. everyone probably feels like, regardless of where you're at, that I'm from a small town, Louisiana. I graduated with a class of less than 100. We had a Walmart, a Piggly Wiggly. Great. We shot deer and hogs in the woods. I drove a truck all my life. I'm a small kid from the South. I eat crawfish every time I go home. Gumbo's amazing. Go Saints, go LSU, go Tigers, right? Um, and I don't know if it's because of the life experiences or the decision I made in life that put me in a position to believe in myself, or if it was always there. But I think if you're somebody out there and you're contemplating whether your story matters, or if you're capable of doing this wildly important goal, this wig in your life, for me, I didn't realize that I could do it until I actually reflected on my life. And this happened, I literally, my last day at 4160th was 25 August of 22. I started PT school right after that. Like, I took no break. I just jumped right into it, went through a huge mental health journey because I was depressed. It was rainy in Washington and there was no culture around. It was just, and I'm from Louisiana, I was a loser because I was a veteran and I drove a truck and I couldn't park anywhere. It was just a very crazy period of my life. But it wasn't until I picked up a journal and wrote down in my garage gym training as a kid, what was my experience? A black kid from the South, being a second generation Army officer, um, seeing my dad, raise in ranks, retire, playing football, losing close friends and family very early. What was college like? The military, special operations. How did the Rangers, elevate my worldview or change my perception of life and self? Being a night stalker, all these different experiences, loss and grief and combat, all these things that I formulated my own story. And a lot of times people are like, I don't have a story. Well, bullshit. You do. You're just too afraid to tell it. You're too afraid to tell your own story. And that creates that all the conditions aren't set for me to do the thing. You got to stop and you got to do that. You got to do that background work
Yeah,
just to have the
absolutely.
confidence to start, I think.
Part of it is, so I think the subconscious of it is people are afraid subconsciously of imposter syndrome. They're afraid they'll tell their story and then they won't belong, or they'll be ostracized, or they got picked on when they were younger and they don't want to get picked on when they're older, and they'll just keep quiet. They'll stay down, or they see other people get hammered for exaggerating their stories or making shit up or saying things that aren't true or that are true, and then they get shit on anyway because people are mean and the internet is mean.
Yeah.
Your friends, they're not mean. Your friends aren't mean to you. The people that like you aren't mean to you. And those will be the only ones you want to really impress. Growing a brand on social media is different. You got to be able to not reward bad behavior, and two, stay out of the comments, which is kind of difficult when you're growing. But you get to a certain point where you don't have to be in the comments anymore. So you just get to that point. But um, people are always quick to say this person deserves it more. That's why you have many veterans not getting the benefits they need. And then on the other side of the bell curve, you have some veterans getting more than they need. It evens out. That's not fair to some and it's unfair to others, but that's just the way it is. And it's the same with telling your story. People will always defer to someone else when it comes to propping themselves up because everybody at every level has imposter syndrome. They don't believe they're worthy of their accomplishments, what they've done. Even, they raised their right hand, did everything their country asked them to do, honorable discharge, never had a bad mark in their record, and then it's over and they go about there and they just fade off and they say, I didn't do anything special. I didn't do this. I'm not worthy of anyone's praise or listening to me. That's not true. Like, no, that's not true. I mean, you don't want to be overbearing. And if you're pragmatic and humble within your story and tell it and just tell it matter of fact, just, this is how it was, you'll find that there's a lot of people that went through similar things because it is therapy talking to other people about the things that you're going through, about your story, because there might be something in there that you think that really bothers you, that you think nobody else is going through. And when you start talking about it, you'll realize there's quite a few people going through the exact same thing and might feel good to talk to them about it. You're like, how do you deal with this? How do you deal with this one thing? That's what I'm hoping to do with some of these fire fit sessions, is,
Yeah.
let's talk about some shit that maybe we don't want to talk about, but the fire, it's just you, me, the recording, and the fire here. And we'll talk about some shit and we'll just stare off in the fire. We don't even have to look at each other, And that's what it is about your own story. You got to be proud of what you did. And there's other people that might be proud of you too. Or at least they want to get to know you and know something about you and where you've been and where you're going. And it's important. It's important to me. It's got to be important to you.
It's incredibly important. And the comment you made about, like, you don't know who's listening. You don't know who is listening to your story or your podcast or your reel, whatever, a post, whatever it is, a story. Somebody's listening, and you don't know how that can impact them. And I almost assumed this role. Nobody told me to, but for me it was, I remember being a linebacker, and I didn't know what I could be beyond that. I didn't care about school. My dad was deployed when I was in high school, so I was like anti-military when I was a kid. I was like, my dad wasn't around. Like, I had to go on official visits to schools by myself. I was going to rivals camps, driving with friends because my parents, my dad wasn't there. I remember going to, was it TCU or Louisiana Tech? I ended up going to Tech. And I see, parents talking with coaches about the scholarship and offers. And I'm like, I'm just a 17-year-old kid trying to vouch for myself, and that created this resentment, but then I thought, after going through service and leaving football for this, service-based passion, and looking back, I can't think of how many kids I've talked to so far in my journey that can only see themselves as an athlete. They can't. And a lot of guys, they leave sports and they're back to the streets. They go back to their hometown. They don't see anything for themselves beyond that. Um, and another thing that one of my battalion commanders said, it was actually Mike Klepper as well, was update your resume. You know, I'm not I'll always be a Ranger. Yes, I'll always be a Night Stalker, but I am not on active duty anymore. You can tell because I'm trying to grow a beard and my dreadlocks are about to touch my shoulders, which I'm happy about. Um, loving it, right? But I'm updating my resume in this season of my life by continuing to serve others in a capacity that I'm passionate about, and accepting the responsibility of being the steward of the profession going forward. So for me, if I can talk to the 16-year-old version of myself, say, hey, Harrison, like, you're great at football, but don't limit yourself. There's a million things in this world that you're capable of. Because 16-year-old self would never saw myself as a Ranger, would never saw myself being an officer in the military, and especially not a business owner and a doctor, 14 years later, 15 years later. So, it comes down to, like you said, telling your story, being confident in where you're at, the season, the position you're in now, and having a bit of ownership in how you can shape the minds of others. Because regardless of where you're at, there's always an opportunity to mentor somebody that wants to be in your shoes. Grind isn't a 7-figure brand. People think because our
Not yet.
content fire, we're not a 7-8 figure brand. I just love making content and I love telling a story. Somebody wants to be where I'm at right now, and I'm willing to share, not be a gatekeeper for those things.
How does it play on you with the influence that you have? Because you have a different, I hope I don't word this fucking incorrectly here, different demographic reach than I do, right? People from a different background are going to see you and be like, and want to emulate you. And that's got to be, I became aware of that people were listening to, and it fucking blows my mind. And I'm like, man, because one of my guests is like, you got a big following in the 82nd. I was like, really? Oh, I got to stop making fun of the 82nd so much. And then one of my buddies is like, oh yeah, we were just talking about you in the team room at fifth group. And I went, oh, I got to make fun of fifth group more. I got to make some, let me get on here and fucking tell them they're gay or some shit like that, right? But, there's kids that are going to listen to you that would never see my stuff and things like that. And I think it's crazy that, oh yeah, I'm talking to my peers and I'm talking to a couple of years, but when I got kids messaging me like, what do you think of this? I go, oh my God. All right, Nick, you got to watch what you say here. You got to be very careful about what you say because you're influencing people's lives. How much does that play on your thoughts daily?
It's, I mean, it's extreme ownership, it's like, it's I love it. It gives me so much more meaning in how I move in the world, the words I speak and the things I tell people, how I carry myself. Because I'm on TikTok and I post a TikTok and some kid with some emoji profile photo, I don't know what he looks like, messages me and says, "Hey sir, like I want to be a ranger. How do I get there?" And every single time I don't know who they are, I give them my personal cell phone number. And I say, if you're serious, text me, give me a call, and we can talk. Some do, some don't. Some kid just texted me on Sunday and he's like, hey, I'm getting ready to enlist and I want to be a ranger. I'm not that fit. And he's like 160 pounds, soaking wet. He's like, I can run. And I said, get run. He's like, keep running, get strong. And I'll give him a call this week. But I think that if you want to be somebody that is creating something meaningful, then you're not going to get that impact without being somebody that's altruistic in nature. Like you have to want to help people. And for me, that's always been kind of the foundation because of service and duty, all the different big words, adjectives we can use. And it's why I picked a career as a PT where I'm directly aligned with improving people's lives. Yes, physically, but there's also a mental mindset side of it as well. And that bleeds directly into my apparel brand because that mission, I think everyone can benefit from it. Now that makes marketing hard because we're supposed to be niche down, but fuck that. I think everybody's on the grind. Everyone, you on the grind with your podcast, serving your family, your community. I am with my patients and my community. Everybody has it. But if I can position myself again as a guy like Donald Miller says, um, then I know that at least my story can either show you, oh, I can do that. Oh, I don't want to do that. And let me go find the thing that I'm most passionate about. Because that's what people are afraid of. They're afraid of finding their passion because that's when their work really starts. Um, but it takes a lot of work to get there.
Yeah, yeah, inundated by options too. You gotta pick which direction you want to go, and then go at it.
Right.
As Ron Swanson says on Parks and Rec, don't half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. Uh, and that's pretty good advice for a sitcom. Hey, we're coming up on time there. We're gonna hit you with just two of the questions, one of the normal five, and then one that I only ask Rangers. So we're just going to go with, hey man, what is the best piece of advice that you received during your career?
Respect the state of discomfort. I think that's the best piece of advice that I've gotten. And I won't say his name because I know he's still in the regiment. Um, but I think a lot of times as humans naturally, we do not want to be uncomfortable. We're constantly chasing homeostasis. If we can all sit on a couch and stay lean and fit the rest of our lives, we'd probably pick that option because it's easier. Um, but I think understanding that we have to seek discomfort or life gives you discomfort and you don't know how to respond to it. If you're constantly seeking discomfort, you're more resilient and adaptable to when life brings you that punch because it's going to come. As you know, it's going to happen probably every day or at least every other day in life. But if you're constantly in a state of pursuing it yourself, then you're just more agile. And that's just something that I've tried to take forward in this chapter of my life. Like I said at the beginning, I'm a strong ranger. I never thought I could be a doctor. So I was like, let's go get uncomfortable and start studying with my Louisiana education. I think we're 52 out of 50 in education, so we're doing pretty good. I think we'll crack the top 50 in a couple years. Um, but yeah, you you got to constantly pursue the things that you absolutely hate.
I do. I do like running. All right, man. This one, I'm working on a piece of content. So this one that we've developed for my Ranger guests, but I got to get the clickbaity in. What makes Rangers better than everybody else?
Rangers don't care. Rangers have one objective, and it's to destroy whatever's in front of them. Um, and I think there's sort of a carefreeness about how they operate that makes them so unique. They're usually a lot younger than the other groups. They don't have um, more often than not the 8 to 10 years of military experience before you get into a team or get into a group. They're usually guys right off the street, and they get into RAS and the regiment. Rangers are just they're just gonna kill and destroy, and I think there's something unique about that, as a direct action raid force, that other units are good at, but I think Rangers truly embody it even outside of combat. We're talking about training. They approach every little thing the exact same way, and that translates well into combat efficiency.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on. How can everybody find you on the socials if they so choose?
Yeah, so on Instagram, I am at Harrison L. Lewis, and then our brand page is at grind.us. Our website is thegrindcollective.com. And yeah, we're constantly on the grind. Our mission is to inspire others to give 100% and then some in sport, fitness, and life.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, I saw your content popped up, so I reached out to you. I appreciate you sitting down with me. And now, as usual, you know me and I know you. And if you ever need anything, I'm here to support. So
Likewise, brother.
that's kind of my thing. If I think that's it. Yeah, that was good. Right on
Yeah,
time. Anyway,
perfect.
as usual, it was an honor to have you on. Bye, everybody.